Hello there, and welcome to Election Night 2022. Today, although there will be midterm races in the House, Governor's, and Senate races, we'll be focusing on the state of Ohio Senate race between venture capitalist J.D. Vance and Representative Tim Ryan. Before we get into the results, we first need to look at President Biden's approval rating nationwide. Currently nationwide, Joe Biden is approved of by 43.8% of voters, but he is disapproved by 56.1%. Not good odds for the president. In the state of Ohio, however, Joe Biden is underperforming his nationwide approval rating average, with only 41% of voters approving of the president, while nearly 59% disapprove of President Biden in the state of Ohio. The polling averages for this race between J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan have shown a J.D. Vance lead for almost the entire race. Although Tim Ryan has narrowed it in recent polls, Tim Ryan has narrowed J.D. Vance's lead due to his distancing from President Biden. J.D. Vance is still up and is expected to win this race by about 5 or 6 points. We now have 7:30 p.m. poll closings in the state of Ohio, but also in West Virginia and North Carolina. Ohio exit polls, which we have to look at before we look at the actual results, currently show Tim Ryan doing very well in urban areas, while J.D. Vance is doing well in rural areas. Suburban areas are also going to J.D. Vance, although what's interesting to note is these trends in suburban areas are very similar to what we're seeing across the country and in what we saw prequel to this in Virginia during 2021, the 2021 elections, in which suburban areas, which were traditionally Republican but voted against Trump in 2016 and 2020, are trending back to the Republicans by large margins due to Biden's decreasing approval rating and the increasing cost of gas, inflation, all that stuff. People are worried about education as well. So suburban areas across the country are trending back to the Republicans by large margins. We'll have to see if it's enough, though. Looking at the age, obviously no surprise, J.D. Vance is doing very well among older voters, winning the 65 and up vote by nearly double. He's up almost double Tim Ryan's amount, while the younger voters are breaking for Tim Ryan, but not by the margin you would expect. Tim Ryan's only leading by 15%. Trump got 38% of this vote, so J.D. Vance is actually outperforming Donald Trump in terms of younger voters. Very interesting to note. But the biggest surprise is the 30 to 44 voters, in which Tim Ryan is only winning them by 3 points. This is a demographic that supported Biden by about 5 to 10 points, and J.D. Vance is really narrowing up that margin, so we'll have to see how big of an impact that has on this race. One of the biggest polls we may see today going into the race is the approval of President Biden. Currently, 93% of those who approve of the president are voting for Tim Ryan, while 6% of those who approve of the president are voting for J.D. Vance, showing that although it may be partisan compared to disapproval ratings, J.D. Vance is actually doing pretty well among those who approve of the president. Only 2% of people who disapprove of Biden are voting for Tim Ryan, while almost 98% of those who disapprove of the president are voting for J.D. Vance. Looking at the 2020 vote, another interesting thing to look at. Trump voters are being overwhelmingly loyal to J.D. Vance and their Republican counterparts, with 97% of those who voted for Trump in 2020 are voting for J.D. Vance as well. Only 2% of Trump voters have flipped and voted for Tim Ryan. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is still getting overwhelmingly amounts of Biden voters are still going for Tim Ryan, but not by the margin Trump is getting, with almost 10% of voters flipping to J.D. Vance. If we had to guess based on earlier exit polls we saw, those are most likely suburban voters who were turned off by Trump but are still right-leaning. Third party or did not vote, those people are breaking for Tim Ryan by decent margins, but nowhere near the margins Biden got. So we'll have to see how that impacts the race. Now look at the first results coming in. We have results from Franklin County, Wood County, and some parts of southern Ohio. Tim Ryan has a large lead, although do keep in mind most of that vote is coming from Franklin County and inner city Columbus, so there's a lot of vote outstanding. With 15% of the vote in, you can see a lot of these counties are getting filled in. Tim Ryan still has a solid lead. J.D. Vance is making up a little bit of ground, but there's still a lot of vote left, and there's still a lot of red areas that need to come in, so it's still way too early to call. With 34% of the vote, and you can see a lot of these red areas are getting filled in, the vote separation in terms of percentage points has stayed virtually the same, as we're seeing a lot of these blue areas counting their votes much faster than the red areas, and they have more population. So although there's lots of red areas being filled in, the blue areas have more people and are counting faster, so it's pretty much evening out. We're going to take our first look at the individual counties. In Franklin County, Ohio, With 79% of the vote in, Tim Ryan holds a 63 to 35 point lead. This is awful news for the Ryan campaign. Although he did win in Columbus and Franklin County by absolutely huge margins, the fact that 80% of the vote is in already, well, there's still plenty of red areas left to report, and a lot of red areas that are only just barely reporting. It's not good because Tim Ryan is going to most likely lose this lead he has early as more red areas begin counting votes and turning them in. J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan are doing pretty much identical to their presidential counterparts 2 years ago, although the county has swung about half a point to a point more Republican, but really it's almost identical to 2020 margins. Now, with 49% of the vote in, Tim Ryan's lead has narrowed to 0.6%. We now have results from every single county, and J.D. Vance is doing very well across the state in the rural areas. He's getting a lot of the votes coming in from rural areas now. A lot of the more urban areas in Columbus, Toledo, and Cleveland, a lot of those areas are nearly 80% reporting. They're almost maxed out already for Tim Ryan. So this is awful, the fact that Tim Ryan's only up by 0.6% when we have a lot of Republican-leaning vote out there. With 53% of the vote in, J.D. Vance has now taken a very narrow lead over Tim Ryan. Like I said, a lot of these urban Democratic-leaning areas are nearly maxed out in terms of vote. They're at 70, 80, 90% reporting, while a lot of the more Republican, rural, and suburban areas are only at 40, 50%. Some are at 60, and there's even some in southern Ohio, the really rural areas that are only about 20, 30%. So it's very interesting to note that although Tim Ryan had a huge lead early on, this race is narrowing, and it's not looking good for the Ryan campaign, as there was a lot of Republican vote outstanding. We're going to take a look at Mahoning County now. This is a county that went to Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012, narrowly went to Hillary Clinton in 2016, but flipped to Trump in 2020. This is a county that J.D. Vance must carry if he is to win tonight. And currently, he is down huge, but only 30% of the vote is in. And this is a lot of this vote we're hearing is coming from Youngstown, the inner city Youngstown area. So a lot of the vote in the more white working class, rural, suburban parts of the county, which we expect to overwhelmingly go to J.D. Vance, is not in yet. So the fact that Tim Ryan is up huge, but there's a lot of vote. Tim Ryan is up huge, but there's a lot of vote outstanding that will most likely favor J.D. Vance and the Republican Party. So, yeah, although this county may be blue right now and Tim Ryan may have a large lead, we do expect that to narrow quite a bit. We're going to take a look at the vote outstanding now. As you can see based on this legend here, the counties that are in light red are where there is there's votes outstanding, but J.D. Vance has a lead. While the counties in dark red are counties that are anywhere between 90 to 100% reporting, and we can pretty much project that J.D. Vance will win in those counties. Meanwhile, the counties that are light blue are mostly where Tim Ryan is leading, but there's still vote left. While the dark blue are counties that we are that are having a vote in that we can pretty much project that Tim Ryan will win. Obviously, this is not good for Tim Ryan, as a lot of the counties in southern Ohio, a lot of the local county officials in southern Ohio, they called it an attempt to prevent what happened in 2020 from happening in Ohio. A lot of those counties are withholding their results until after the urban counties report them, which is happening. And J.D. Vance has a narrow lead with a lot of Republican vote in the southern part of the state outstanding, and a lot of possible Republican votes in Mahoning and Trumbull counties in the western side. As you can see, those are the two blue counties in the northwest part of the state that are on the Pennsylvania border. Those are areas that Trump won, but are traditionally Democratic areas. We'll have to see, and that's also where Tim Ryan's from. So we'll have to see if J.D. Vance can do what Trump did, or if maybe Tim Ryan has some votes outstanding in those parts of the state. Looking at Delaware County, this is a suburb of Columbus. This is a county that went to Donald Trump by about 7 points. It is usually a very red county. It's one of those traditional Bush Republican counties. It's a very suburban area. It went to Trump by 7 points, and it's very much left trending. J.D. Vance has almost won this county by about 9 points, with 85% of the vote in. So this is a very interesting development in this county, in the state of Ohio, because J.D. Vance is very much outperforming Trump with suburban voters. Turnout this election may be down a bit, and the generic ballot does show Republicans winning. But the fact that these voters are trending so heavily for the J.D. Vance, at least in this part of the state, is really spelling bad news for the Ryan campaign. Going back to the Senate race, J.D. Vance is expanding his lead with 68% of the vote in. J.D. Vance leads by about 3 points. And as you can see, Trumbull County has flipped red. This is a county that J.D. Vance must win if he is to have any shot at winning. It's part of Tim Ryan's district, and it's a very interesting county, traditionally Democratic, but is flipped Republican after Donald Trump. And J.D. Vance has taken the lead in Trumbull County. So this is good news for the Vance campaign. And, yeah. We're going to take a look at Montgomery County, home of Dayton, Ohio, in the southwestern part of the state. Montgomery County is a county that J.D. Vance has maintained a lead in pretty much all night. Since about the 20% of the vote was in, J.D. Vance has been up by about a point. So yeah, 96% of the vote in. J.D. Vance is most likely going to carry this county by about a point or two. So it's very interesting to note that this is a county that went to Trump in 2016, went to Biden in 2020, but it is looking like J.D. Vance is going to flip this county back in 2022. He's from that part of the state, so there's probably not a huge shocker there. Probably some of that local appeal, but still the fact that this is a very much an urban, suburban, rural county. It's a very interesting county. It's home to Dayton, but it's also home to Dayton suburbs and some rural areas. So yeah, it's a very much a swing county that J.D. Vance has won by about a point. We now have a projection in the terms of the Ohio governor's race, and that is that Joe Blystone, a farmer from East Liverpool, Ohio, will be the next governor of Ohio. He will defeat the Democrat by about very similar margins to what we're seeing in the Ohio Senate race, actually. He's underperforming J.D. Vance by about half a point, but the Democrats are also not doing too hot either. So we can now project that Joe Blystone will be the next governor of the state of Ohio. However, the Senate race is still uncalled. With 80% of the vote in, J.D. Vance is continuing to expand his lead. He currently holds about a 6-point lead over Tim Ryan, and most of the counties are being filled in now. The only county that the only interesting county is Mahoning County. Still a decent amount of vote left. About 60% of the vote is in from that county. While much of southern Ohio still has to report some votes, much of the suburban and western part of the state is fully reported. Taking another look at Mahoning County, where J.D. Vance has taken a lead with 80% of the vote in. He leads by about a point and a half right now. Very interesting development in Mahoning County. This is a county that J.D. Vance had to win if he wanted any shot at winning. Like we said, it was a Obama, Clinton-Trump county. It's very much a white working class county, a large population center. If J.D. Vance wants any chance to win, he needs to win this county, and he has done it. And with that, we can now project that J.D. Vance will win the 2022 Ohio Senate race. He will defeat Tim Ryan and become the next senator of the state of Ohio. Taking another look at the race in Ohio, with 90% of the vote in, a lot of those rural Republican counties in the southern part of the state that were withholding their votes until the urban areas were fully reported, they are flooding the people with results now, and J.D. Vance is just continuing to expand his lead. And we can project that J.D. Vance, as we said, it will be the next senator of the state of Ohio, and he will defeat Tim Ryan with 90% of the vote in. Looking at nationwide results, we can now see it was an incredible night for Republicans. They won a bunch of Senate seats, won a bunch of governorship seats, took back control of the House. It was a red wave. Looking at these are the nationwide results. We'll give you a second to take them in. Looking at the final results for the 2022 Ohio Senate race between J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan. With 100% of the vote in, we projected J.D. Vance would win about a little while ago. But these are the official county results. As you can see, J.D. Vance won by about 500,000 votes. What's interesting. These are almost identical vote totals to the 2016 race between Trump and Clinton. But J.D. Vance obviously is these are obviously much lower vote totals than 2020 because of mail-in ballots and high turnout. But compared to 2016, these are almost identical vote margins to Trump and Clinton. As you can see, J.D. Vance did very well in the Cincinnati area. He flipped Montgomery County, but he also had a lot of those traditional Republicans and the more in the rural southern part of the state. They turned out in huge margins. A lot of these counties, J.D. Vance got more than 80% of the vote in. He also did very well in Summit County. Interesting to note, the county south of Cleveland, were home to Akron. A lot of white working class voters there. J.D. Vance actually did very well there. He brought it down to a lean margin. In the suburban counties north of Columbus and south of Toledo, as you can see, those are the light red counties. J.D. Vance did outperform Trump there. They were still lean red, but he won them both by about 2 points more than Trump did. And obviously, Mahoning and Trumbull counties are both red by lean margins. Those are counties that are pretty much where Tim Ryan lives. So the fact that he lost those do spell that The Democrats are in big trouble in Ohio and that part of the state in 2024 and beyond. They're very much red trending areas. So with that, thank you for watching and tuning in to the Senate race in Ohio. We hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more.